together. Ready? There is no such thing as a perfect marriage or family. How many times have you caught yourself saying, oh, they're the perfect couple? At the moment on the big day, it looks like that, doesn't it? Huh? And at that moment, they look like everything is in perfect order. How many of you know about 7 days after the big day that it's not so perfect after all? I mean, you're madly in love, obviously, but things just aren't perfect. The perfect family is a myth. No matter how hard you and I try, we will not instantly transform into a flawless husband or wife or mother or father or son or daughter. You don't have to say amen to the next couple statements, but just think about them. I know the amen wants to come out because depending upon which side you're on the statement. But spouses, your life mate will make horrible mistakes. Parents, your children will make big mistakes. Parents, the worst thing you can do for your children is to project that you are perfect. Because parents, you will make big mistakes. Children, your parents will make costly mistakes. That is so true. Actually, perfection is not possible. Breathe. That should feel good to do that. Perfection is not possible. There is no foolproof top 10 list of how that you can create the perfect family, because there is no such thing as a perfect family. But then isn't that the beauty of the love of God? You and I do not have to be perfect to experience the love of God. Isn't that those timely experiences, explosions of grace that happen inside the walls of your home because of the love of God that is present? We are all a bunch of imperfect mortals. With weaknesses and sins we'd rather not talk about publicly. And that's why Jesus died for us. But too often what happens is this: our obsession with keeping score prevents us from experiencing those grace explosions, especially when we're raising our families. Perfection, I believe, is a pit that many of us tend to fall in. I also firmly believe this morning that some families' obsession to be perfect and to honor God through that perfection actually does more harm than good. You see, it is all in the mistakes, it's all in the failures, it is all in the messes that we all can find God's grace. It's not about finding perfection. Watch this. It's all about finding beauty in your ashes and holiness wrapped around your many imperfections. That kind of beauty is a wonderful reflection of God's relationship with each one of us. You see, I happen to believe that every household can shape the sense of inferior performance. Too many people carry that unnecessary burden. The crippling idea that we're not good enough is a lie from the pit, and a lie that demands the truth. And here's the truth this morning. Truth is, all of us can still grow up a healthy family by God's design, even in a breaking down world. Your family and mine can be wholly wise. Have you noticed the last couple of years how we have used those 4 letters, W-I-S-E, and we've attached it to everything. Yesterday was a wonderful fishing tournament. We only caught 2 fish and 2 turtles. And a branch. But weather-wise, it was gorgeous. You go shopping and you're trying to find those specials and you arrive too late, Miss Dina. But you had a great time talking to a dozen people in the store. The shopping wasn't that good, but relationship-wise, we attached those W-I-S-E to everything. I want to talk about this morning being holy wise. Holy wise. Jim Daly, who is the radio voice for Focus on the Family, and also the president of Focus on the Family, he has a quote regarding us being holy wise. Watch this quote. No perfect decibel level will suddenly make all of your great advice seep into your child's brain and be perfectly applied. Amen. That ought to unload your heart about 50 pounds right there. So it really doesn't matter, mom and dad, grandparents, guardians, whomever. The louder you get doesn't make it any better.
That's right.
But you can still be wholly wise. And speaking of wholly wise, how many of you know this? That if there's a severe, prolonged pattern of sin committed by God's people, how many of you know that invites punishment? A severe, prolonged pattern of sin by God's people, from God's people, that invites punishment. What will it take for us today as families, as marriages, as spouses? What will it take for us today as God's people, created and redeemed by Him, to see that the fallout of sin, patterns of sin, is a fatal disease? What will it take for us to see that? Since the fall in the Garden of Eden, sin has sentenced all of us, watch this, to a slow, painful death. Sin does to human life what pruning shears do to a fresh cut flower. I mean, just one quick cut at the stem by sharp pruning shears separates that flower from its source of life. Initially, once you snip the flower and place it in a vase, initially we know this, that the flower is attractive. Right. Initially it is still sweet. Initially it is still colorful. Standing erect in the vase. Just keep watch over that flower for a couple days. The vibrant leaves will wilt. The once colorful petals will drop off. And the fragrance will die. Why? No matter what you do, the flowers will never live again. You can surround them with more fresh water. You can stick the stem in soil. You can baptize them with fertilizer. You can glue the flower back on the stem. But the truth remains, the flower is dead. It has been severed from the life source. A dead flower, a dead body, a dead soul has no life. Cut off from its life source, which is God, the soul withers and dies. The consequence of sin is not just a bad day. It's not just a bad mood. It's a bad soul. Let me rephrase that. It's a dead soul. And oh my, the signs of a dead soul, they are so clear. Poisoned lips, cursing mouths, feet that lead to violence, eyes that don't see God, and ears that won't hear God. But I've got some good news this morning for you. Your family and mine can be wholly wise. Sin has both a remedy and a redeemer, and I want to talk about that this morning if it's okay. I want us to be wholly wise. Amen. It's chapter 11, verses 44 through 45. I'd like to read this out loud to you, and then I want you to read it back to yourselves. I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. I am the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt, or bondage, to be your God. Therefore, be holy, because I am holy. Ready? Here we go. I am the Lord your God.
Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. I am the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt, bondage, to be your God. Therefore, be holy, because I am holy.
I choose this morning this Old Testament dietary law. It's a law of love. To show how the redeemed, to show how the called, the commissioned of God should live differently. That we should live morally excellent. And we should live ethically beautiful. I want to encourage you this morning. You can live wholly wise. Your life, your marriage, your family doesn't have to be perfect. Because it can't be anyway. But any life that brings honor to God in the name of God is a holy life. Because holy is what God is, we should want to be like Him in all ways, every day, and everywhere. Can I hear an amen this morning? Amen. That's the word of the Lord for you and I today. We can be holy wise. Why? Because God is holy, and He wants us to be like Him. Some of us grew up singing this song, actually a hymn. The hymn was, "Take time to be holy."
Yes.
Some of you are humming that right now, aren't you? You can hear the big organ. Oh, how true that hymn is. Because it does take time to be holy. Living holy is no instant formula. And although holiness is a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day journey, there is no religious magic pill that you can take to be instantly holy. If that were the case, I would make sure that we had a prescription kiosk in the lobby and never run out of stock. Huh? You see, much like our physical body, how it matures, holiness takes time. It takes time to cultivate a walk with the Lord that flows naturally. You should know this. The devil already knows that. The devil already knows that. Since he was cast down to earth, the devil has been more assertive and more powerful than you and I tend to be. He has been more creative to derail and demoralize you than you have been to protect your own soul. That's right. It's not a new thing. As a matter of fact, for 7,000 years or more, the forces of hell have worked overtime to keep you and your marriage and your family from becoming wholly wise. Judges chapter 17, verse 6, watch this. In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. That sounds like 2017 to me. I'm fully aware that every day it's harder to grow up families and to stand up for what's black and white regarding our values in a breaking down world. I'm fully aware of that. You see, wherever truth is, watch this, wherever it's relative, then absolutes become subjective. We have majorly veered off course in our civilization, and as a society, we have purposefully but aimlessly disconnected from the glue that once held us together. I think for two reasons at least. One is this: we have refused as a people to look up to a transcendent, authoritative God for moral absolutes. Our tendency today is to look lateral, horizontal, rather than vertical. We are more apt to ask, so what do you think? Rather than, God, what do you say? We would rather have someone to agree with us than for us to be in agreement with the Lord. That's one reason. Another reason is we have depended on our own depraved interpretation and determination of what's right and what's wrong. That might be right for you, but it's not right for me. It might be wrong for you, it's not wrong for me. We live so horizontally rather than vertically. And that's the same reason that God raised up a man by the name of Jeremiah, a prophet in the Old Testament. The same warning of God given to Israel, heaven is sending to us, I believe, in 2017 on this day. Jeremiah 21 verse 13 says this: My people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, to hew for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns, that what? Can hold no water. Think about it. Let me give you some things to ponder this morning regarding those broken cisterns. In America, watch this PowerPoint. Every day in America, this year, 150,000 students went to school with weapons. 21% of students say they won't go into the restroom because they're fearful of being molested or attacked. Help me out here, teachers. 41% of teenage women have experienced pregnancy before the age of 17. Suicide among teenagers has increased 300% in the last 30 years. 34% of teachers are considering retirement or career change next year because the conditions in their classroom or hallways are too threatening. We're digging our own wells, broken as they may be. They hold no living water. They hold no living substance. They hold nothing that is holy. Here, folks, the evil of our day is everywhere. We cannot live without evil touching us somehow, some way, somewhere. So what's the answer, Mom? What's the answer, Dad? What's the answer, husband and wife? What's the answer, son and daughter? What's the answer, grandparents and guardians? I think the answer is we need to learn how to pray all over again, something like this, looking up. Yes, there are absolutes. Yes, there are absolutes. There are immutable, unchangeable laws settled in the heavens and should be settled on the earth at work in this world. Lord God, you established those absolutes. Lord God, because you are holy, you made them unchangeable because you changed not. You established them. And if I'm going to live hope, if I'm going to live healthy, if I'm going to live godly and successfully, then it would behoove me to follow those laws that you laid down. I think what happens is this. The reason that we're looking horizontally and trying to help ourselves dig wells that won't hold water, I think the reason is we're failing to lock into the power that comes from the Spirit of God. I am totally convinced, folks, it is the presence of God that makes the difference in the world.
Yes.
It is the presence of God that makes the difference in my walk, in my talk, in my worship, in my praise. It is the presence of God that helps me get up in the morning and face. I am looking at the author and the finisher of my faith. This day is not my day. It belongs to the Lord. He is holy and I am not. But I need to be holy wise. So God help me walk today.
Yes.
It brings glory to your name.